Well, today on The Word with Friends, we are going to talk about the word thirsty. Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Mission Zero. If this is your first time here, my name is Shawn, and this is The Word with Friends, the show where we take a deep dive into language and communications in order to bring us all closer together. So like I said, the word that I think I'd like to talk about today is the word thirsty. Now, in the generations behind me, the much younger than me, the word thirsty has a couple of meanings. One is you're trying too hard, right? You're desperate for something. It smacks of desperation. The other is that you're sexually desiring. But the idea is that it's this thing that you need, this thing that you're just really, I gotta have this. But it's an interesting thing to use the word thirsty for that, because thirst isn't exactly all that powerful. If you go back a few thousand years, there was a Japanese sect of Buddhists called the Sokushin Butsu. And Sokushin Butsu actually means to become Buddha, to instantly become Buddha. And the way that the Sokushin Butsu became Buddha is by mummifying themselves alive. They'd eat a specific diet of nuts to reduce themselves to as close to 0% body fat as they possibly could. They'd eat these tiny nuts and they'd work out like crazy until they were just rail thin, and then they would deprive themselves of water. It takes you about 7 days, depending on the temperature outside, to die of thirst. And the process, as it turns out, is actually pretty easy, because after a couple of days of just feeling that, boy, I'd really like some water, it fades away. You stop needing it. You get kind of nauseous at the idea of drinking or eating. And then eventually you pass out and you just die in your sleep. The idea of thirst isn't this modern thirsty definition of like really intense desire and longing. No, it is a subtly disastrous craving because you want water, but it's easily overridden. Now, why does that matter to you? Aside from being this interesting study of these Japanese Buddhists, what could I possibly be trying to get at with this? It's this. When Jesus in John 4:13-14 says, if you drink of this water, normal water, you will thirst again. But if you drink of the water that I give you, you will never thirst again. There is a real and practical, tangible thing that he's talking about. See, thirst as we understand it, it's viewed as this sort of nagging thing. You just have to go drink some water over and over and over to stay alive. What Jesus is referring to is not the actual literal act of drinking water. What he's saying is, when you take in the world around you, it's gonna give you all of these things that you just gotta do over and over. You gotta stress out about that laundry. You gotta make sure you get to work. You gotta make sure you do that. You gotta make sure your Instagram grid looks right and is popular enough that people can... What Jesus is saying, if you just give over your attempts to control your life to me, I will free you of all of that, all of those nagging little details. He's not saying you never have to drink water again. He's saying you never have to succumb to the death of 1,000 stings that is the thirst for things of this world, the thirst for money, for fame, for power, for validation. You can free yourself of all of that by just giving in to the model of Jesus, the understanding that the most fulfilling thing, the most happy thing, the most blessed thing you can ever do is serve other people. And it doesn't mean like go to a soup kitchen kind of serve. It means be kind to people, help people, speak life into people, be a person that's joyful to be around, who makes other people laugh. That's how you free yourself of the thirst of this world. And so I hope that that has some meaning for you. I hope that that can bring you something powerful and make God pour out the water that keeps us from thirsting all the days of our lives. And I love you so much. I'll catch you later.